It's time for the all-time draft presented by Money Monopoly at McDonald's. Go play it. All sorts of prizes for you to win. You just peel it away. And there it is. All-time draft. We're up to picks 16 through 20 today. Sean O'Hara and any other newcomer out there, here's what we're doing. We are following the exact same draft order as it exists in 2016. The team needs remain the same. The rosters remain the same. The only difference is we are expanding the pool of players that you can choose from the current collegians to any player in history. In fact, if Sean O'Hara wants to come off the board, Sean O'Hara can come off the board. You just have to be retired. That's the only requirement.
You have to be retired.
Well, because we've seen Terminator. I'm assuming you have too.
All-time draft.
You can't be in two places at once. That's the only thing.
Right.
You ready to roll here?
I don't know if I'm ready.
A trade to announce because the Rams and Titans made that trade earlier today. The number one pick that had been at number 15 previously, it was Steve Young of BYU. At number one, the Rams trade up to get, they really wanted some swagger. They wanted some star power in Los Angeles. They get it. Joe Namath, this guy can run well. He's got a rifle under Bear Bryant the last 4 years, doing special things down there in handsome Hank Hodgson's hometown of Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
So Broadway Joe goes from Broadway to Sunset Boulevard?
I was just about to pitch a new nickname. I don't know what Broadway
Sunset
Joe means because it's Joe Namath kids coming out of Bama.
Going down Broadway.
That's a good nickname for him. Sunset Joe Namath.
Yeah.
Right. I like that.
Or Hollywood Joe.
Hollywood Joe.
Hollywood.
Something will stick. Yeah. Something will stick.
Hollywood Joe or Sunset Joe. Very good.
Like
See?
Or Venice Beach Joe.
That's right. Yeah, wherever he chooses to live. We'll see about that. All right, let's get into it now. Pick number 16. The Detroit Lions are on the clock. Tell us what their needs are. Daniel Jeremiah?
The Detroit Lions picking number 16. There are some needs to fill on this football team. Finally addressing that offensive line, getting that solved once and for all. They could do that with another early investment at the tackle position. That would make some sense for this football team. You could look on the defensive side of the ball, no question. Get some more help there with a talented young nucleus. But guys, I got to be honest. This has to be a wide receiver. This is a team trying to replace an all-time great in Calvin Johnson, and I don't know that you can do that later on in the draft. Use this opportunity, pick number 16. Some guys that are out there, you look at a Jerry Rice, a big-time talent. Small school, I get it. The speed on the stopwatch doesn't show up, but when you watch the tape, you see an immaculate route runner, unbelievable hands, great after the catch. He'd be a nice fit for this football team. And another name that I would throw out there, when you look at a receiver that can get over the top, really take the top off of a defense, James Lofton. I love what he brings to the table. He's got a chance to be a premier deep threat at the wide receiver position.
I like both of those choices. There's another guy out of Georgia Tech named Calvin Johnson that would maybe be a good fit there to replace the guy who just retired, Calvin Johnson, Megatron. Maybe they could get this kid.
But you might only get 10 years out of him.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's today's NFL. That's 21st century.
How about Tim Brown? Is he still available?
Tim Brown is available.
There.
Yeah, you could go get him. Heisman Trophy winner. Obviously used to playing under the lights there in South Bend.
I think Irving Fryer as well could be a good pick there.
Is Barry Sanders still on the board?
Barry Sanders just went to the Miami Dolphins a couple picks ago.
Okay.
All right, so let's get to it here. The Lions select. They did Daniel Jeremiah's advice. The Lions are following it from Mississippi Valley State. I don't even know what that's about.
Small school.
Their uniforms are weird. Their Christmas colors. They select Jerry Rice. We'll see if this kid can make the leap. I don't like to play cynic here, but I don't know. That's a pretty big jump from Mississippi Valley State to the NFL. I don't know. Good luck, though, Lions, I guess. I'm rooting for you. Next up, it's the Atlanta Falcons. Daniel Jeremiah, what do they need to do?
The Atlanta Falcons pick number 17. When you look at this football team, a couple areas they could look. On the defensive side of the ball, how about safety? This could be an option for this team. Get a safety that can be a dynamic player, can really force the alley, make plays against the run, but can then play over the top. That could be an option for this football team. Linebacker, though, if you're going to narrow it down on the defensive side of the ball, linebacker would be an area I would address. You've got Ray Lewis still out there on the board, somebody that brings a temperament and a style of play that would fit in really well with this football team. He'd be an option. If you want to flip over to the offensive side of the ball, I think the interior of this offensive line, a guard, a big-time guard. I know they brought in Alex Mack. I like that signing at center. But what if you put him next to a Larry Allen? What about a John Hanna? Somebody that's just really, really physical, really crank up this running game with Devontae Freeman in the backfield. I think that would be a nice fit for this football team. Ultimately, the decision, I think, comes down to interior offensive line or linebacker. Either of those two would be good options for the Falcons.
Sean O'Hara, I go to you with this. Can you evaluate offensive linemen especially? I mean, obviously you did it. I imagine no one could do it if you can't. But how quickly can you look at an offensive line prospect and say, yep, that kid's got it? How many plays? How many series?
I'd say usually about 5, but it's got to be the right plays.
5 plays.
I think about 5 plays you can kind of really gather and say, all right, you know what, this guy, he's got the footwork. He understands the hand placement. He's got the power in the hips, and he's got the athletic ability in the pass pro to kind of recover. So, I mean, one of the things that everybody looks at, now in college football, it's so hard. A lot of these offenses, all they're doing is pass pro. So
what are the right plays? What are the right plays when you say that?
Well, it's a good question. Number one, I think when you're evaluating an offensive lineman, you're trying to figure out what kind of offense am I trying to fit him in. Because if I'm running a zone scheme running offense, I need an athletic guy that can really move a defender. Because what you're trying to do is you're running a zone scheme. You're trying to get the defenders to run. You're trying to get the D lineman to run. Well, you can't do that if you don't have offensive linemen that can run. That's different than if you have what we call power football running team, where they're going to pull a guard and they're just trying to play smash mouth football. They're not trying to get you to move. They're trying to move you. With a double team at the point of attack, pulling a guard, and they're trying to edge the defense that way. So that is what like a Larry Allen would really specialize in. We're just going to run straight downhill at you. So I think based on those run plays, that's how I would look at this player. Okay, show me the zone play. Does he have the athleticism? Can he start out running laterally, but then has the power to now get his hips moving vertically? Some guys can't do that. They start running lateral, and that's it. They just keep running to the sideline. They can never get any vertical push. So that's the one thing in the run game right away. And in both the run and the pass game, you're looking at where are his hands. Some guys, no matter how hard they try, no matter how hard you work at in practice, they get in the game, and they're just bear hugging everybody. You can't play at the NFL with your hands outside. So you've got to be able to get your hands inside. So we talked about the footwork, we talked about the hand placement, and then the last thing that I would look at is, does this guy understand angles? As much as people think football players are dumb, a lot of it's angles. It's, do you understand who you have to block and what angle you're going to have to take to get there? So all of those things, you can really kind of, the angle thing is kind of tough because you don't know what the college coach is telling these guys when you're trying to evaluate them. But when you turn on the film, if it's the 5 right plays, you could look at it and say, all right, you know what, this kid's got enough tools. There are certain things that you can always help them and improve on. But yeah, I think in 5 plays, I could probably tell you whether or not.
I want to get good at evaluating that. I always cite it as the biggest, most pretentious conversation that fans have is, oh, that guy's a great Anthony Munoz is so dumb. How do you know? You don't know if Anthony Munoz. You aren't watching him. You're listening to other people tell you.
It's funny. I hear people say that a lot. I really want to learn how to grade offensive linemen, and then when you tell them what it takes, they're like, yeah, I got other things.
I'll listen to you say it.
I got a podcast I got to record. I don't have time to break down and watch film. It's kind of like the saying, hey, I'd really love to win the lottery.
Yeah.
But nobody's willing to buy a ticket.
No, we have more important things to do, like do fictional drafts of
right.
all-time guys.
Right.
So with that in mind, the Atlanta Falcons eschew the offensive line and instead go with DJ's selection. They go with Ray Lewis of Miami. They needed some nasty there. Yeah, so Ray Lewis goes to Atlanta. Handsome Hank, you like that?
I do. I think it'll work out well.
He'll fit right in with the Dirty Birds.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, everybody points to that as what this team lacks right now, and they're addressing that. Hey, Sean O'Hara, go! It's a big day. There's so much to kibitz about. You got to go do fancy TV stuff. Before you go, real fast.
Yeah.
I've been asking a lot of people this. Let's say 50 years from now, they decide, you know what, we need a Sean O'Hara trophy, like the Heisman Trophy. What's the pose?
A Sean O'Hara trophy?
You eating a wiener.
No.
I guess we already have the answer.
That would not be a trophy. That would be a tombstone. I think a trophy with me, it would kind of look a lot like the Captain Morgan guy, one leg up, drinking a cold beer. Either that or just popping that beer top off.
You're the second guy to come up with that answer. Bucky Brooks went with the same
all right,
one.
Bucky, I like it. Yeah.
So you guys will have competing Captain Morgan's trophies. All right, we always like catching up with Sean O'Hara, one of the great fellows around on NFL media. Go talk about your fancy stuff on Total access with those other baby blues. Oh, a lot of baby blues going on with Dan Hellie and Sean O'Hara.
Please don't compare me to Dan Hellie.
You're right. Much more handsome. Much more handsome. All right, there he goes, the great Sean O'Hara, and we will continue on with the all-time draft here. Thanks for coming in, Sean.
Anytime.
So there goes O'Hara out the door. I like him
I like him a lot.
Yeah. I wish he were West Coast based, in fact. I could see him
I'd like to
fitting
spend more time with him.
Yeah. I just think I know he likes to, when he's in town, he fancies ending his day on the balcony at whatever fancy hotel they put him up at, smoking a cigar.
Is that not
doing that? Yeah.
Do you do that?
I don't know. No, I wouldn't want that. I want him I think he'd fit in nicely with you. I think you guys got on well.
I think I have that offensive lineman mentality.
Yeah, but Ike and Maurice and O'Hara, I think that'd be a nice little group there. All right, let's get to the Indianapolis Colts. They are at pick number 18. Daniel Jeremiah, what do they need? They need a lot of stuff.
Indianapolis Colts, pick number 18. This is a team I think could address the offensive line position with this spot. That would make a lot of sense. Need to protect Andrew Luck. He's taken way too many hits over the last few years, be it interior or tackle. I think those are areas they could address right here at pick number 18. Then you look over on the other side of the ball. I think they could use some help at multiple levels of this defense. Outside linebacker. How about somebody like Derek Thomas that can really get after the quarterback and heat him up? He's got big-time pass rush potential. He'd be a great fit there in Indianapolis. And then you can go all the way back to the safety position. Somebody like an Ed Reed would make a lot of sense for this football team. The instincts, the range, make plays sideline to sideline. I love what he brings to the table. But how about the idea of, you already have Vontae Davis there. What about pairing him up with an elite player? Somebody I cannot believe is still on the board, Rod Woodson. Big-time athlete, toughness. He brings it all to the table. He'd be a nice fit there for the Colts.
All right, handsome. I mean, some interesting thoughts there. Ed Reed, maybe two guys from the U back-to-back here.
I don't think so. I've been talking about Rob Woodson for almost every pick for the last 2 times we've done this. I think Rob Woodson, this is if he goes any further, there must be some character questions.
All right, well, guess what? We don't have to worry about that because with the 18th pick, the Indianapolis Colts do indeed select the in-state guy, Rod Woodson, Purdue. He was toiling just about an hour up the road there in West Lafayette. Short drive for him to the state's capital. Number 26 is going to fit in nicely and really fix that defense up very, very nicely and give Andrew Luck a good scrimmage foe to go up against. He's not going to probably have
make
to face
him better.
Yeah,
iron sharpens iron, Dave, is a great cliche.
I like that. Say it one more time.
Iron sharpens iron.
It sounds better. It sounds better when an Englishman says it. So
iron sharpens iron.
Right. Well, Pittsburgh's was iron sharpens iron, Jens. You know.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, I know, but iron sharpens iron. I could see Tyrion saying that.
Yeah, Tyrion's going to say
somebody. All right, let's get to the Buffalo Bills here at pick number 19. They're looking to make some moves with Rex Ryan at the helm. What do you think, DJ?
The Buffalo Bills picking 19th in this draft. There's some different areas you could look at with this football team offensively. We could get into some options for them, but I think this has to be a pick on the defensive side of the ball. This is Rex Ryan, somebody with a reputation for great defense. They did not display that last year in Buffalo, so I think they need to go up front and get somebody that can get after the quarterback. Mario Williams is gone. He's no longer there. And a couple names I'm kind of shocked that are still available at this point in time. You look at somebody like Bruce Smith, somebody that can come off the edge. It's very physical. It's very violent in the run game, but can be a dominant pass rusher. He would make a lot of sense for this football team. And how in the world is Derek Thomas still available out of Alabama? Somebody that's been like Gumby coming off the edge, can win with power as well as that speed. Man, the Buffalo Bills, either one of these players make a lot of sense for Rex Ryan and this defense as they try and get back to playing at a very high level.
Interesting thoughts there. Handsome, which way are you leaning?
I go with Bruce Smith. I think this guy's going to be good. Played at Virginia Tech, had a great college career, and I think he could go into Buffalo, a city that's maybe struggled with that star power, and maybe get them a Super Bowl they've never won.
I don't know, though, because he's, Virginia Tech, it's warm and humid there. Is he really going to make it up in a place like Buffalo where
That's
it's
a good
cold?
point. That might not work
That
out.
doesn't
that
sound
could
like
really
a fit.
count against
I want the best for this kid and for the organization.
Right.
And guess what? Daniel Jeremiah's hand-wringing hereby ends with the 19th pick. The Buffalo Bills choose out of Alabama Derek Thomas. This guy Seems like a phenom coming off the edge there. Sack master, you figure, will fit in well with Rex Ryan. Reminds me a lot of Von Miller, Super Bowl 50 MVP. I feel like there are a lot of the same characteristics there. Do you see that similarity?
I could see something about that, yeah.
All right, so Derek Thomas off the board there, and that brings us to pick number 20, the division foe of the Buffalo Bills, the New York Jetropolitans. Their quarterback situation in flux, the defense sound, Todd Bowles and company. Which way are they looking, Daniel Jeremiah?
The New York Jets at pick number 20. This is a football team that's on the cusp of being a playoff team, but there are some areas of this team they do need to address. You look at the defensive line for this football team. That is an area they could get an edge rusher. They are loaded along the interior, but somebody to really buzz off that edge, a speed rusher, would make a lot of sense for this football team. How about, though, we go over to the offensive side of the ball? I know quarterback is an area that they could look at. I can't believe Dan Marino is still on the board. That could be an option for this football team. But at the tight end position, there is an athlete out of Cal Berkeley that I'm in love with. Tony Gonzalez, somebody that we've seen what he can do on the football field, but I don't know how many people are aware of what this guy brings to the table on the hardwood. I'm talking about basketball. This is an elite player, not only in football. He's got a chance, I think, could play professionally in basketball. He's just that athletic. Somebody I think at the tight end position would be a quarterback's best friend at the next level. Man, that'd make a lot of sense for the Jets.
What, a basketball? How does that make
this
any
guy,
difference?
this Gonzalez guy, he played basketball.
Apparently.
Well,
and by the way,
not heard that.
What you should do is I keep saying it, but you really do need to take a look at the all-time draft of 2016. It's available on YouTube at NFL.com, if only to see the college highlights of these guys. Tony Gonzalez played football and basketball, as it turns out, at Cal Berkeley. Do you agree with that? Do you think number 44 there should head on
I think
New York?
I think, right now the Jets are in this issue with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They're trying to find out if he's going to play for them this year, and I think you get the leverage over Fitzpatrick by drafting a quarterback. And I know that DJ mentioned this Marino kid out of Pittsburgh, at your hometown.
Sure.
You've probably seen him play. There are two other guys I think the Jets are going to be looking closely at: Ken O'Brien out of Cal Davis, and then
I don't know that name.
and then Browning Nagel out of Louisville. Both very highly touted guys that I think would fit in really well in the Big Apple and probably have a lot of success there.
Well, that's boy. You've put a lot in my head here now to try and figure out here. With the 20th pick, the New York Jets select. I'm bummed to say this one because I really was hoping he could play his whole career in his hometown. Dan Marino. Dan Marino, number 13, Heisman candidate. Didn't have the greatest senior year. You could put that on the coaching change there. Jackie Sherrill moves down to A&M, and Foge Fazio takes over there. But the lightning quick release for Dan Marino, the very special sophomore and junior years in his hometown of Pittsburgh. Went to high school, went to college. I was really hoping that maybe he could be the successor to Ben Roethlisberger. Instead, the New York Jets get him, and the wide receivers have to be over the moon about that. Can you imagine Brandon Marshall catching passes from this guy?
There's something about it, and I'm not sure what it is, but the idea of pick quarterback Dan Marino in a Jets uniform, I'm beginning to feel actually sick.
Broadway Danny Marino. Recapping, Jerry Rice of Mississippi Valley State goes to the Lions. Ray Lewis of the U to Atlanta. Rod Woodson goes from PU to Indiana, to Indianapolis, just down I-65 there. Derek Thomas from Bama goes to the Buffalo Bills, figures to make a lot of hay there for Rex. And Dan Marino of Pitt is now a Jet. There you have it. We'll continue with picks 21 through 25. It is McDonald's Money Monopoly presenting us with the all-time draft of 2016.